Director Adam Wingard has indicated his desire to create a third movie showcasing both Godzilla and Kong. However, he emphasized that the decision hinges on the success of Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire and the overall developments in the film industry. Well, if it's about how well the movie did, it's done even better than we expected. Let's discuss that. And also, we'll discuss the one thing in the MonsterVerse that does not make sense, and they need the third part to explain it. Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire is a big monster movie made in 2024 by Adam Wingard, Legendary Pictures, and Warner Brothers Pictures. It's the follow-up to Godzilla vs. Kong from 2021 and part of the MonsterVerse series. It's also the 38th Godzilla movie and 13th King Kong movie. The main actors are Rebecca Hall, Brian Tyree Henry, Dan Stevens, Kaylee Hoddle, Alex Ferns, and Fala Chen. Rebecca, Brian, and Kaylee are back from the last movie. In this one, Kong meets more of his kind in a secret place underground and has to team up with Godzilla again to stop a mean monster and its boss from causing trouble on the surface. After Godzilla vs. Kong did really well at the movies and on streaming during the COVID-19 mess, the company Legendary said they'd make another one in March 2022, and they'd start shooting later that year. Then in May 2022, they said Adam Wingard would be back to direct, and Dan Stevens would join as a main actor. They filmed in Australia from July to November 2022. Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire premiered at a famous theater in Hollywood on March 25, 2024, and came out in the US on March 29. It made a lot of money at the box office, but some critics didn't love it as much as another Godzilla movie. Still, it earned almost $490 million worldwide, which made it one of the most successful movies of 2024. Director Adam Wingard has shown interest in creating a third movie starring both Godzilla and Kong, but he's keeping an eye on how Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire does first. He's hinted that if he gets the chance to direct again, he'd take a fresh approach with new ideas for the next film. He's even suggested that the next movie might focus more on Godzilla's perspective, just like how The New Empire centered on Kong. As for the box office success, producer Mary Parent is thrilled with the outcome. She sees it as a promising sign for the future, but wants to wait and see how Godzilla x Kong plays out before making any decisions. Now, as for the story of the third movie, first, let's talk about the story of the second part. It takes place 3 years after beating Mechagodzilla. Kong's chilling in Hollow Earth, on the lookout for more of his crew. Meanwhile, Godzilla's keeping the peace up top, knocking out Scylla in Rome before kicking back in the Colosseum. But hold up, there's a signal stirring things up. Gia, the lone survivor from Skull Island, starts tripping out, and her guardian Dr. Andrews gets worried. Godzilla feels it too, ditching Rome to chow down on some nuclear energy in France before heading up north to meet a big ice-breathing titan, Tiamat. Back in Hollow Earth, Kong stumbles upon a hidden realm where his kinfolk are hanging out, including a young dude named Suko. After a tense intro, Kong and Suko hit it off, and they team up to face off against Scar King, the ice-powered bad guy, and his frosty pet Shimo. Kong takes a beating, but with Suko's help, he manages to escape. Dr. Andrews, Gia, and their crew head down to Hollow Earth to track down that mysterious signal. They find the Monarch base trashed, but stumble upon a tribe of telepathic Iwi. Turns out, the signal was their cry for help. While Gia gets cozy with the Iwi, Dr. Andrews freaks out about possibly losing her. But exploring a temple, she learns some wild history. Scar King tried to take over the world, but Godzilla shut him down ages ago. Plus, there's a prophecy that says Gia can wake up Mothra. Kong gets a power-up for his frost-bitten arm, but Scar King's not sitting still. He's prepping for a big invasion. Godzilla's not in the mood for chit-chat when Kong shows up, thinking it's round 2. They duke it out until Mothra steps in, and the trio heads back to Hollow Earth for a showdown with Scar King and his crew. Things get icy in Rio as Shimo tries to freeze the world, but Kong and his crew smash Scar King's plans. After thawing things out, Godzilla heads back to chill in Rome while Gia decides to stick with Dr. Andrews. Mothra protects the Iwi, and Kong takes charge in Hollow Earth. Alright, let's dive into this timeline tangle. It's like trying to sort out Christmas lights after a squirrel's had a go at them. So maybe we've got this Legacy of Monsters thing happening in some kind of alternate dimension. Because, in Monarch lore, when folks are chilling in Hollow Earth or wherever Titans hang out, they age like a fine wine. Time moves slower there according to the series. But in the movies like Godzilla vs. Kong and Godzilla X Kong, we see people venturing into the Hollow Earth, and time seems to tick on just like normal. So in the Monarch lore, time slows down in Hollow Earth, but in the movies, that whole time dilation thing is nowhere to be seen. Here's a thought: maybe it's just a special spot in Hollow Earth, like the Axis Mundi, where time dilation happens. But in Godzilla vs. Kong and Godzilla X Kong, they didn't venture into that spot, so no time dilation. Basically, the movies take place in different corners of Hollow Earth, which explains why time doesn't slow down there. So picture Hollow Earth as this massive hollow sphere. Down at the bottom, where those gateways pop up, that's where you find the Axis Mundi, where time starts acting all wonky. Then in the movies like GVK and GXK, they're up on the ceiling of Hollow Earth. Because of how gravity works, maybe time dilation only kicks in for the ceiling area. And since our characters weren't hanging out there for too long, just a few hours, they might not have noticed any big time differences between Hollow Earth and the surface. It sounds like a solid theory to me. Well, that's all I have. Let me know what you think. They sure need to explain all this in the third part. Now, before I end this video, I need to share something that I just found out. Godzilla vs. Kong is an epic showdown featuring one of the greatest monster battles ever seen. While the visual spectacle of these titans duking it out is enough to get fans excited, there's actually a deeper reason behind their clash. In the MonsterVerse film series, Godzilla and King Kong have a long-standing rivalry, but what really sets them on a collision course is Godzilla's unique name for Kong, the Rival. This designation is revealed in Godzilla Dominion, a comic book prequel to the movies. Even though Kong doesn't physically appear in the comic, his presence is felt, building anticipation for their eventual confrontation on the big screen. The comic also sheds light on Godzilla's abilities, including his power to sense events happening across the globe. This means that Godzilla is constantly aware of Kong's challenging presence, which becomes like an itch he can't ignore. In Godzilla vs. Kong, we see the culmination of this rivalry as the two titans face off in an epic battle. But beyond the thrilling action, the comic and the movie deepen the lore of the MonsterVerse, making it richer and more complex for fans. Ultimately, Godzilla vs. Kong delivers on the promise of an epic showdown between these iconic monsters, cementing its place as a blockbuster event in the MonsterVerse saga. Well, that's it for today. What are your thoughts on the direction the MonsterVerse is taking? Are you excited to see more epic battles between Godzilla and Kong? Or do you have other ideas for where the story could go next? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated on all the latest news and theories from the world of monsters. Until next time, keep roaring.